The comments are an absolute battlefield today, Tio. Fans are not talking about Espanyol, they are not talking about La Liga, they are having a full-on civil war about Jose Mourinho and whether he should be the next Real Madrid manager.
And not just Mourinho, it's Mourinho-versus-Zidane, and the debate has gotten genuinely heated. One fan summed it up perfectly saying, and I'm translating here, Mourinho is not the right coach for Madrid. Spanish people don't understand football. Their opinions depend on whatever newspaper headline they woke up to that morning. The best coach for Madrid right now has to be Zidane, winner of 3 Champions Leagues. That quote got 22 upvotes.
22 upvotes for Zidane. And look, I get it. I completely get it. When you're watching Arbeloa's Madrid stumble through matches, your mind goes to the man who made this club feel invincible. Zidane is comfort food for this fan base.
But the Mourinho camp is fighting back hard. There's another fan who went straight for the jugular on the Mourinho nostalgia crowd, translating roughly as, remember what exactly? The Mourinho era was not exactly overflowing with success. 1 La Liga, 1 Copa del Rey, 1 Supercopa. That is a brutal reality check.
Brutal, but fair. Madre mia. 1 league title in 3 years at Madrid is not a dynasty. That is a disappointing tenure. But here's what I keep coming back to. The fans who want Mourinho aren't really arguing his trophy record. They're arguing his personality. They want someone who will get in the players' faces.
Exactly. And one fan spelled that out directly, translating their comment. Mourinho would put Mbappé and Vinicius in their place and bring them down from their cloud, as long as Florentino backs him and doesn't let the players think they're bigger than the club. That is the core of the pro-Mourinho argument right there.
Which is fascinating because it tells you everything about the current frustration. Fans aren't debating coaching philosophy. They want a disciplinarian. They want someone to walk into the dressing room and say, "Vamos, I'm in charge here, not you."
And honestly, the Benfica situation adds fuel to this fire. There are reports that Benfica want to keep Mourinho and are scheduling a renewal meeting, which would essentially close the door on any Madrid approach. So fans are debating a manager who might not even be available.
Que barbaridad. Classic Madrid fan experience. Falling in love with a target who might already be off the table. Meanwhile, the Arbeloa despair is still very much present. One fan wrote, translating, "Everything is a disaster. Real Madrid 2 consecutive years being the garbage of football, and the worst part is I think they'll keep Arbeloa just to avoid spending money." That one hit different.
2 consecutive years being the garbage of football is quite the dramatic framing, but I understand the sentiment. And the frustration with Arbeloa is not going away. There is a piece floating around comparing his numbers to previous coaches, and the fans who found it are not happy with what they're seeing.
Let's shift to what I think is the most genuinely alarming fan conversation right now, the Vinicius contract panic. Because it has gotten very real in the comments, and the tone has shifted from frustration to actual fear.
One fan put it in stark terms, translating, "Have they no shame? Vini is 8 months away from being able to sign with whoever he wants." 8 months. That is not a warning. That is a countdown clock, and fans know exactly what it means.
And here is where it gets spicy, because the Vini contract panic is colliding directly with the Mbappé debate. You've got fans saying, translating, "Why sell Vinicius and not Mbappé?" And then others responding, "No, the one they should sell is Mbappé." This is a full ideological split in the fan base.
The most pointed comment in that thread, and I think this captures the frustration with the Mbappé situation perfectly, translating, "When will they stop asking that stupid question? The best question is when will Madrid free themselves from Mbappé? Because until they do, it doesn't matter who comes in as coach or player, nothing will change." That is a fan who has completely written off the Mbappé project.
We've been covering the Mbappé project is dead narrative all week, but what's new today is the urgency around Vini. Because if Mbappé is the problem, and Vini is the solution, and Vini is 8 months from walking away for free, that is an existential crisis, not just a transfer debate.
The irony is devastating, isn't it? The club brings in the most expensive project in football history with Mbappé, and in doing so, potentially loses the player who was already their heartbeat. Fans are connecting those dots very loudly right now.
Now let's talk about something that caught my eye. There's a Champions League thread running through the comments today that has a very different energy from everything else. Fans are almost wistful about the UCL, like they're grieving something.
One fan wrote, translating, It seems like a completely different sport watching Champions League matches, completely different. What the CR does is vomit-inducing, which tells you two things. Fans still feel robbed of their European adventure, and the media resentment is still white-hot.
And another fan went even further in praising what I think is a content creator they follow, translating, "You are the best thing that has happened to Madrid in recent years, not counting the Champions Leagues, of course. If Florentino defended Madrid even a quarter as much as you do, we'd already be done." The not counting the Champions Leagues is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
It's a very revealing comment because it suggests fans feel completely abandoned by the club's leadership. They're looking to outside voices to fight for the club's honor because they don't feel the president is doing it. That is a deep institutional trust problem.
Bayern 4-3 is still living rent-free in this fan base's head, Tio. Arda Güler scoring twice in the first half, Camavinga getting that straight red, the whole chaotic, beautiful disaster of that night, fans cannot process that it's over.
And they shouldn't have to rush that processing. That was a genuinely painful way to go out, but I do think the energy is slowly shifting. The comments today feel less like raw grief and more like forward-looking anger. Fans are starting to ask, what now, rather than, why did this happen?
Which brings us to Espanyol on Saturday. And look, the fan conversation about this match is almost non-existent in the comments today, which tells you everything about where this fan base's head is at 2 days before a La Liga match.
When your fan base is more consumed by the Mourinho-versus-Zidane philosophical debate than by the actual upcoming match, that is a measure of how disconnected the emotional investment in La Liga has become. Fans are living in the future, not the present.
And honestly, can you blame them? When the title race feels decided and the European dream is gone, a mid-table La Liga match just doesn't carry the same weight. Fans are already mentally in the summer, already rebuilding the squad in their heads.
The Mastantuono mentions are starting to creep into threads as well. Fans who saw him come on against Alaves and again at Bayern are starting to ask questions about his role next season. The next generation conversation is beginning, which is either hopeful or a coping mechanism, depending on your perspective.
Probably both, knowing this fan base. All right, tomorrow morning we'll be back, and I have a feeling the Vini contract story is only going to get louder between now and then. The clock is ticking, and fans know it.
8 months, Rafa. 8 months. Hala Madrid, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and if the Mourinho debate keeps escalating in the comments overnight, we will absolutely be reading those out. Keep sending them in.